locked in. Most pros want to be able to show a good performance, want to be able to play serious picks and look good on stage. Trundle is an option here for jungle, for Meteos, but there's not really anyone to actually ult, and that's generally where you depend on getting a lot of your tankiness, right? This is going to be an AP Gragas, and if Sven does lock this in, then this could actually be Yasuo and Syndra as the soul laners. There is the possibility also of this being Kalista top. So this could get pretty wacky. I still think it's more likely that it's Syndra bot, could be Kalista top. They could also do, Syndra mid and just do Yasuo Gragas as the combo on the top side of the map. But I can't say I've ever seen Licorice play Yasuo, so that would surprise me. I do think this is more of a Niski pick.
I'm fully on board the Licorice and Reaper want to try Kalista top train for
And this is one of those unique picks, right? This is one of those things I was talking about where it's like Cloud9 is one of those teams that has the confidence to actually play around a side lane and look towards these types of matchups. This is something where Ornn really can struggle if Kalista gets ahead at all. You rush Blade with Rune King. Once you have a lot of attack speed, Someday is going to be getting kited around non-stop. You can actually link with your jungler for very powerful ganks and engage combos. Kalista can throw in Gragas for a knockup. Easy setup for the Yasuo ultimate off of that. Also, there's lots of setup, Thresh Flay, even obviously the Yasuo Tornado and Gragas ultimate, etc. So there's so much setup here for the Yasuo. It is going to be Kalista top. It is going to be Syndra bot. Very cool draft from Cloud9. And I think because of how well they've done in the LCS, you've got to give them the benefit of the doubt, right? If a lot of teams are drafting this, you'd be like, I don't know. But they're a strong team. I think they can pull it off.
Hey, they're willing to experiment, and now once again with Champion Select complete, we are heading to a 5-minute break here. It is to preserve competitive integrity, so once we're back, we are going to be casting the game in front of you as you see it, just like you're used to. Don't y'all go anywhere. We will return shortly. The action here on Summoner's Rift, and we will be jumping into Cloud9 and 100. Oh, right there.
Perfect. Here we go. Cloud9 coming off their first loss of the season last week against TSM. They've already locked in first place. And they're getting a little bit experimental here with us. We got the Kalista top Hail of Blades here from Licorice. And they are going to be playing Syndra bot, Yasuo Gragas mid. So a lot of interesting stuff going on. And I'm so excited to see how they can pull this off.
For those of you who may not be familiar, Kalista top has been a thing that's been becoming popular recently. The Shy, the famous top laner that has been such a problem for so many teams throughout the history of international competition, as well as domestic competition in his own region, was the one who, I believe, pioneered this, or at least brought it to most people's attention. And if you're not familiar with how it plays, it makes Vayne top look fun and interactive. It is the most oppressive thing in the world for a melee champion to deal with, especially one with limited or no gap closers like Ornn. You essentially get to turn them into a pincushion. It likes to build Blade of the Ruin King, it likes to build Sanguine Blade, and it just creates a 1v1 that is just impossible for the other player to deal with.
Yeah, I would say it's at least very frustrating. There are some melee champions that have the ability to all in this pick, and they can fight back. Especially at level 1, though, Ornn has no recourse. There's no way for Ornn to actually trade back here, right? You need some levels. You need to be able to have the opportunity to actually, really kind of threaten an all-in. Otherwise, you can't go for it at all. Because if you can't threaten that all-in, you will just continuously get chased around by this pick. And it's kind of interesting because people are talking about it, as this new innovative pick, and it is for pro play. But it had actually been showing up in solo queue, I want to say 1-2 years ago. And a lot of pros were playing it, including guys in North America, like Huni was playing it a lot in solo queue. And it never actually made its way into pro play. So when it started popping up again, I wasn't sure if it was just going to be a for fun solo queue pick or actually go pro. And we are having it now, multiple regions around the world, playing it in pro. And I'm really excited to see kind of a daring pick like this, because if your lane goes well, it can look great, but if you get ganked a couple times, start falling behind, you become worthless fast.
Oh yeah, you can turn into a caster minion faster than you can count how many times you've been killed by the enemy jungler paying attention to you. It is a very volatile matchup here. We'll see how it goes for Licorice. He did start off with the Cull first item, so just trying to maximize that abuse potential here in this lane with this matchup. Blabber instantly going towards the top side. He recognizes that the only way out of this for Someday is for jungle attention to be given, so he's going to move up and prevent Meteos from doing just that. Throwing the cake down, trying to steal a couple of these medium-sized Krugs. He'll get one. That's not exactly much to write home about, but the last couple two, they're ticking down there. Blabber walks away with a little bit of extra money in his pocket, but most importantly, he keeps Licorice safe so he can keep pushing this lane up.
Exactly. That's the main thing. You know, it would be a bonus to steal away more of that camp, but it's not that big of a deal, and it's still annoying for Meteos being harassed at his Krugs. Then Niski moves over from mid lane, just poking away, trying to keep him under threat over at that Raptors and keeping Licorice safe in the meantime. Because, you compared this pick to Vayne top, and I do think it is similar in a lot of regards. Obviously, they're both marksman picks, but one of the big things here is, there's no kind of true damage component on this Kalista that you're depending on. So you really do have to get a big farm advantage and kind of stay ahead of the Ornn to be able to threaten a lot of kill pressure, right? Whereas, Vayne can more rely on just kind of the scaling of that true damage with your Silver Bolts.
Meteos showing up here in the mid lane. Niski throws down the wind wall, tries to put up a bit of a fight here, but he's going to need some fast feet. Blabber's coming to help him out. Ryoma and Meteos walking away now. Niski will manage to keep himself alive, but down to 150 HP is not exactly the shape he wants to be in. He will go ahead, head back in between the two turrets, and likely look for himself for a recall.
He's actually going to stay around, so I think he's just stacking up the fleet footwork and the passive for that shield, hoping that Ryoma maybe bases so he can get a free wave, but very calm play from Niski. He got chained up, he was ignited, he didn't even flash, so just walks out of that, is going to stay around and try to farm it out because he doesn't feel that Ryoma has kill pressure pre-6 with no ignite, because with that Doran shield, with the fleet footwork, he's going to be able to heal up quite a lot, and Ryoma needs to reset, so Niski's actually not even going to be pressured off the wave, still up in farm, should even be able to push out the wave himself before recalling, and we'll have a pretty nice time of it.
And you're going to see Licorice go ahead and get back there from the top side. One thing that's important to remember when you're playing these lane bullies for your solo queue games at home, he was okay on health, but he was completely out of mana. His harass potential was diminishing, and that means he won't be able to build those leads you were talking about just a moment ago, Isaac, saying that you need to stomp your opponent in this lane to really be successful. So he takes the opportunity, gets back to base, TP's back in, and now once again, he's full on fuel, and he's ready to keep harassing this Ornn for eternity.
Yeah, and when you do TP aggressively like this, you kind of have to keep the pressure up. You've got to be constantly in your opponent's face, because Someday didn't even blow his TP, and the wave is going to be coming to him. So, if Licorice is actually not careful about how he manages this, it can be kind of dangerous, right? Because if you get ganked, you have no TP, the matchup can start to turn around. But we'll see how much Someday can get as this wave does push in. There's also the opportunity for Someday to just try to withstand this lane and utilize the teleport to go elsewhere and make a play.
Blabber will steal away the chicken camp from Meteos. Blabber does have about a 2-camp lead over his opponent there in terms of CS. Niski trading back and forth with Ryoma. Nice dodge away from the chains there, utilizing the dashes on Yasuo to reposition himself quickly and juke his opponent out, as we're going to see Blabber making his way towards the top side here yet again. Licorice on the Kalista. He's got the ulti ready to go. Remember that one of the other advantages about playing Kalista in a solo lane is you get to take a very unique leveling path compared to most champions, where you don't have to bother putting a point into every ability, because your W's honestly just not that important. And a lot of players will just skill Q and E early on and have the extra levels and the extra power from those to make the bullying even stronger.
Yeah, exactly. You can grab a point in W later on if you feel need to be able to scout out the jungle or something like that. But for now, yeah, it's just going to be skilling up Q and E. We'll see if he can look to make any sort of a play with Blabber, because while Ornn is tanky, there is quite a bit of damage between Blabber and Licorice, especially when you have that kind of guaranteed engage, utilizing the Kalista ult to just throw in Gragas.
Well, bottom side of the map, while we were discussing more Kalista fun facts, 100 Thieves did manage to get themselves the first Drake of the game. So they're playing around the bottom side of the map. They know the top side is going to belong to Cloud9 just by the nature of the matchup. They're going to wait for that one to scale and play elsewhere for the time being. But the thing is, man, Cloud9 already up 1,000 gold with no kills on the board. A lot of that is being earned there in that top side as Cody Sun takes a lot of damage from the Syndra there in the bottom lane. And for the people who might not have caught the stream last weekend when we were doing the not LCS, just sort of casting pro players playing in scrim games, one thing that Doublelift said when he was on the cast with us is how Syndra is so strong in the bottom lane because she just 1v2s everybody. It's completely just way too strong. And we're kind of seeing Sven just step up and bully these guys.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you have Thresh behind you, there's not an incredible amount of threat from Tom Kench and Aphelios to actually look for that all in, but big engage.
Speaking of threat, Blabber goes in, but it gets turned right back around. It's first blood over the side of 100 Thieves. They do a good job reacting to that. Blabber maybe underestimating how much damage he would be taking, but it's still a 1-for-1, and it's Cloud9 taking a Herald.
Yeah, I mean, Blabber gives his life, but they're going to be feeling pretty happy about that, taking the Herald away. It's actually given to Sven, which is pretty interesting. So he can actually take the Herald down to bot side, look to continue to pressure this, and Niski has roamed all the way from up at that Rift Herald down to bot side.
Bottom side. Oh, no, that is not where you want your Tom Kench to be. Vulcan goes a fishing, and he finds himself a catfish. Niski's clean to pick that one up, and that means another kill on the board here for C9.
Great job by Niski. He is just everywhere. He is in this play up on the top side by the Rift Herald. Blabber, very clean body slam flash. No way to react to that right as the teleport is coming through here from Sven. The first blood does go to 100 Thieves, but C9 lean up the mid laner. They're going to be happy about that trade, and they're going to be even happier about the fact that Sven now has Rift Herald available with only 3 plates remaining on that bottom side. Cloud9 are close to just straight up knocking down that turret.
Bottom side advantages, top side advantages, both building up rather splendidly here for Cloud9 in the first 10 minutes of the game.
Very splendid.
Yeah. Mid lane breaking mostly even here. Of course, the big advantage is the fact that Niski does have that kill for himself that he was able to pick up in the bottom side. You can see with the Vamp Scepter in inventory, looks like he may be going for... Now, that might just be a Vamp Scepter for sustain, or we could see him going for early Blade of the Ruined King if he wants to get really spicy.
Yeah, the Bork would be interesting. It has gotten buffed a lot, so I'm seeing more people actually rush this on champions like Aurelia and even Renekton and various setups as they are looking for Meteos. That was a really good chain, though. Ryoma actually had Niski locked up in the chain, so he could not ult off of Blabber's ultimate on Meteos there, so pretty big deal.
That's going to be 100 Thieves getting themselves away from that one. And yes, remember the Blade of the Ruined King changes. Those are live in this current patch. We're playing on 10.5. So that could be the change that Niski wants to go for here. But Cody Sun now going to be in some trouble. Gobbled up by Stunt to be kept alive. And Blabber is now punished for going in too hard. Vulcan finds himself isolated. He's going to be picked up as well. And that is 2 kills for the AD carry of 100 Thieves.
And that's a teleport advantage, 400 Thieves. Licorice teleport still not quite up. Someday was able to just teleport down. Yes, he's way behind in farm, but he's making plays around the map. Didn't even quite get involved, but having the additional man there meant Cloud9 had no chance of actually responding, and that is Blabber just going a bit too far. Thankfully for Cloud9, though, they're getting a lot of turret damage up on this top side. You can see Licorice is massively ahead in gold, and Sven still has the Rift Herald available, I think.
And remember, it was the Ornn nerfs that came in on 10.5, where the Brittle does less damage, and the champion's super items no longer activate at level 12. Instead, he has to wait until 13. Now, once he hits 13, yes, he's going to get 3,500 gold's worth of free stats again. But that's an extra level where he doesn't have that influx of power that Licorice will still be able to have more of an impact on the game.
It's interesting also to note that Someday actually went Grasp, and that makes me wonder, did he think it was actually going to be Yasuo top? Because generally, Grasp in range matchups is a really poor choice.
You'll never get
so Exactly. You never actually get to just auto Licorice and proc this grass, so would have expected him to go Spellbook or something along those lines, but C9 going to drop the Rift Herald bottom. Turret almost down, but 5-man bot here for 100 Thieves.
100 Thieves, they want to collapse. The Lantern has already been used. The box goes down. 100 Thieves will be pushed back as Blabber throws in a cask. Stunt goes into stasis, but it only buys a moment as now he's going to be exploded. Wind wall down by Niski, going to prevent a counterattack coming out from the Thieves as Cody's son is chased down, and it's a double kill for Sven. They might look to go for even more. Blabber body slamming his way right back out of the fight. As he jumps over the wall, he drops down the electrocute with the ignite, and that will pick up the kill in return. They do lose that first turret there in the bottom lane, though, and Niski is not willing to stop here just yet. Someday doing a good job with the Bellows Breath to go unstoppable, prevent the knockup, and get away from Cloud9's attack.
Yeah, very well timed to survive there, but still has to blow his flash. Cloud9 running over that fight, taking that turret. They will be able to likely start up the dragon here too. Blabber did go down, so he's got to run back out on the map, but Licorice just gonna take out Meteos.
Oh, Meteos popped there in the brush, and 100 Thieves with their jungler out of the picture. That means that Cloud9 can just go for this Drake here. Remember, Kallista's pretty much a pseudo jungler when it comes to objectives. You put enough of those Rin stacks in something, you get a bonus smite on it. So there's really no opportunity for Thieves to contest it.
That also cost Stunt his flash. He flashed over the wall to try to save Meteos to allow them to have a shot at that dragon. Instead, Meteos still goes down. Stunt uses the summoner, and Cloud9, 4,000 plus gold ahead. Business as usual for them. They have been dominating the LCS. Almost always able to end games at about 30 minutes, and they are looking like they have the kind of early game you would need to be able to do that again.
Blade of the Ruined King done for Licorice. As let's go ahead and take a look at the replay here, how the fight went bottom.
Here's this one more time. It is actually just a straight up 5v5 bot. Niski a little bit later to that play. Cloud9 disengage well, and then stopwatch to buy some time here from Stunt. One man Yasuo ultimate onto it, but Ryoma gets chunked incredibly low at the same time. With Ryoma pushed low, with Licorice able to get up on top of Cody's son and shove him out of that fight, Underthieves really had no opportunity to actually continue the fight. Was a good pickup on the end though from Ryoma over the wall, sees the angle to take down Blabber.
100 Thieves are going to need more than a single pick onto a jungler at the end of a fight if they want to come back into this one. Almost 5k down at 15 minutes. They are going for the second Rift Herald of the game, but Cloud9 aren't exactly the kind of team to just let you get away with something like that. Meteos still keeping the aggro there on Shelly, as Licorice is trying to be careful not face check the brush there, but Ryoma's able to chunk him down pretty powerfully. But it's Ryoma who's now going to be in some trouble, having to walk over the wall, but Meteos and Someday will work together to take Niski down. Without Yasuo around to throw out the wind wall, the Ornn Horn is sounded, but Cloud9 is able to disengage. Low health bars on 100 Thieves mean that even though they got the pick onto the enemy mid laner, they now want to retreat and make sure that everybody's at full HP. Ryoma just barely getting away from one of those dark spheres summoned by Sven, and that means Cloud9 now once again has control and priority over the mid lane.
Yeah, Ryoma had to go back to base where Licorice could just lifesteal back up, utilizing that Blade of the Ruined King. And we also saw Cody's-san again getting poked out of these fights. I have to credit Sven. He has been very patient with this Cinder ultimate. Too often you see people just drop that ultimate early on, and that actually gets completely negated by Tahm Kench. And he has been really good at holding on to that, waiting until Stunt uses Devour, then throwing that through to try to get the most out of it.
Licorice continuing to lead the charge here in the mid lane now. After that Shelly has been secured, it will be immediately summoned by Blabber. One charge from her should be able to nearly, if not completely, finish this turret off. There you go, down to one single auto attack. Licorice will put the arrow in that one, and that means third turret of the game goes over to Cloud9 before Thieves are able to take even a single one from their opponents. The gold lead now almost 6,000. And as I mentioned, the Blade of the Ruined King for Licorice, it's also worth pointing out that that was the choice here for Niski too. Wants to go for that upgraded weapon. Remember, it went from 8% current health to 12 for melee users only with the buff. So 50% more power on that on-hit effect is nothing to scoff at.
And it kind of just allows you to set up a situation where you're wind-walling off the backline, you're just wind-walling off Cody's-san and Ryoma, and you're actually just hitting frontline. You're hitting Tahm Kench, you're hitting Trundle, you're hitting Someday, these guys that will have a lot of health stacked up. and you can get the most out of that Blade of the Rune King.
Yep, it's very logical for how they want to play this based on the tools that they have in their kits with these champions. As the stopwatch count, we're at 17 minutes now. I got to take tally of these things. Blabber and Vulcan both have them. I haven't been diligent, Isaac. This week away has it's got me slipping a little bit. Normally I like to check in on them as soon as they're active, but
shameful.
Yep, I know. I'm slipping in my old age, but we're gonna get to 2 of them on the side of Cloud9 for 2 of the big initiators, actually. Over on the side of 100 Thieves, there's only 1, and it's already broken. Stunt not having that available any longer, having used it earlier, means Cloud9 has even more tools in their inventory to keep pressuring forward, keep playing this game how they want to play it. You already said most Cloud9 games end around or before 30 minutes, and by that measure, this game's only got another 12 minutes left on its lifespan.
It's also important to check in on how many pink wards Cloud9 have active right now. They already have 5 on the map. They have 4 more in inventory. Off that RAS recall, all 5 Cloud9 members actually got a pink ward. So they were rushing out of the map, fully ready to take over vision control around that dragon to set up the next fight. Where you can see, over on the side of 100 Thieves, their vision is much more limited. And some of their players don't even have room in inventory to be able to grab a pink ward.
I feel like if you've got your little green drink bottle with your refillable potion, might be time to yeet that one back to the shopkeeper, as Licorice is going to be taken down there. Meteos takes a bite at a crime and takes him out.
Nice pick there on the top side. 100 Thieves knew they were not prepared to actually go for the dragon or contest that fight. So they move up to top side, they get a shutdown, they'll grab a turret. So that's a very good trade for this team who is quite behind. And you can see just how effective Exhaust is against Kalista, because your attack speed is also your movement there. And when the attack speed is getting slowed down, when you're getting pillared up and all these kind of movement impairments, it becomes very difficult for Kalista to really have any sort of threat.
Yeah, with Licorice taken out there and some money going into the pockets of 100 Thieves, which they desperately need. That's going to go to Meteos, though. So 3-1-1 here on the Trundle. The best score, actually, on the team of 100 Thieves. Working on that Gargoyle Stone Plate here to be the big tanky boy they need on the front lines. Someday level 12 now on the Ornn. Remember, he will need to wait until 13 for the Ornn upgrade. And because he needs to so heavily prioritize armor in this game, dealing with that Kalista, Thornmail is not an Ornn upgradable item. So that means he will not immediately get the maximum surge of gold for upgrading both of those items. Like normally you see them go for Sunfire plus Abyssal, instantly get that huge infusion. It's only going to be the Sunfire upgrade for now.
I think he may go for Abyssal after this. You probably want some MR when Sven is this strong and has the ability to actually hit frontline on the Syndra. That can be pretty threatening. I don't think you really want Iceborne in this case where you're not building any MR and it has no health on it. That would probably make you too squishy against the potential damage that's going to come out from Sven and Blabber. So I do think we'll see Abyssal, probably just delayed, but makes a lot of sense when you're going up against either the Yasuo or the Kalista in a side lane, who both have Blade of the Rune King and are both heavily dependent on those auto attacks.
Yep, Thornmail just adds up here as Someday will continue to take his place as the resident pincushion against Licorice's Kalista. He eats about half his HP and damage there, fires off the ram. They're almost able to take Licorice out, but a well-timed redemption is going to keep him at least away from death's door for the time being. He will be able to heal up if he has something to hit with that blade, but with no targets around, it means it's time for him to fall back. He's teleporting to the top side instead. No reason to go back to the base. You can see his health bar on the side of your screen just rapidly regenerating from auto-attacking that wave.
The macro TP. Niski pushing up mid lane. Licorice just TP's up the top side. He's going to 1v1 Ryoma.
Oh, it's going to be a burst fight. Who's going to win it? Ryoma will, and Licorice loses the 1v1.
That is a big pick. 400 Thieves. Back-to-back kills on Licorice up on that top side. And he even teleported up there to make that happen. Ryoma tracking him across the map, bursting him down. Stunt, though, is caught out, but didn't even have the damage.
The box was brought down, but now Blabber is once again in a tough spot. He will use the flash to get himself away to safety, and now Meteos has extended himself too far. Subjugate is going to keep him a little bit tankier than he would otherwise be, but the reinforcements are coming in from the side of Cloud9. Stopwatch is used by both junglers here in this fight. Ryoma dashing back over the wall to the safety of his squad, and Cloud9, considering they are down a man, will not chase this any further.
Credit to 100 Thieves. They're hanging on pretty well. The gold lead is significant for Cloud9, but they have not been able to really extend it and just put it to kind of that monumental level where you know the game is over. Warren scaling is very good. They do have this very beefy front line. If 100 Thieves are able to keep getting picks and hang around, hey, maybe they can make something happen. Ryoma's getting strong. Cody-san has good farm and a couple kills. So if there's a guy to be behind, it is the Ornn.
Yeah. You've got exactly what you were talking about, too, with the Catalyst in his inventory, going for the Abyssal Mask as Blabber is pulled to safety there by Vulcan. Stunt looking to keep the chase going here with some slows coming through. Niski throws out a wind wall to make sure that they can't chase his allies any further. But 100 Thieves are not willing to go quietly into the night on this one. Cody-san scaling up here on the Aphelios. Essence Reaver is completed. Remember, that is not an Ornn upgradable item, so I will always keep my eye on people's inventories when you've got Ornn on your team to make sure that you've got stuff that champion can appropriately upgrade. And we'll see how that continues as we press forward here. One thing that Thieves also have to be aware of is the next Drake that is spawning here in 35 seconds. Cloud9 are only at 2. Because 100 Thieves managed to grab themselves one earlier, it does mean that they aren't under the threat of that soul going over to Cloud9 here with this take, so they can't afford to give up one more. But after that, it becomes a very critical objective.
It really does, and it's kind of a tough decision. Do you give up the third, and then you're in a situation where one pick or even one steal can mean the end of the game, potentially, with that soul going over to your opponents? His Blabber may just get picked off.
Speaking of one pick or one steal, Blabber, though, he's got the fully completed Hourglass now. It means the stasis is available once more, and it critically saves his life, where 100 Thieves were almost able to claim it with another pick from Ryoma. C9 now heading up into the top half of the river. They know they have control. They know they have vision in this area. And you can see the little, what are they called? The particles on Baron as Licorice and Niski are attacking it there. 100 Thieves with some wards over the wall will be aware of this attempt. And with their jungler low and not having a stasis, Cloud9 are forced to back away.
100 Thieves are actually just going to get the dragon for themselves. Meteos is on it. They're able to ward Cloud9 off the Baron 4v5. And 100 Thieves are really kind of scraping their way back into this game, it feels like. I've got to give some credit to Vulcan too, though. He has had such good lanterns pulling Blabber to safety time and time again. And not only does Blabber have the lantern and the Zhonya's, he's also bound to Kalista. So there is that Kalista ultimate to pull him back also. And that's going to give him the ability to play even more aggressive, knowing he has multiple get out of jail free cards.
It feels so good to be able to go in haphazardly as the jungler and know that Kalista can instantly yoink you to safety and make sure that you don't get punished for just playing completely ham whenever you feel like it in the team fight. As 100 Thieves, although we're praising them for doing a good job at stabilizing here in this game, they are still 4,500 gold behind their opponents. This is still not a game where you're looking at 100 Thieves and saying, okay, yeah, this is definitely within reach very easily. Granted, that 4,500 shrinks down to about 3,000 when you take in the value of the Forge Fire Cape from Ornn. That'll shrink down again to almost just 1,000 once he completes the Abyssal Mask. But I'm mostly keeping my eye on Ryoma here. He's been the guy who's been finding some pretty critical picks, some pretty good setups here for 100 Thieves, and I want to see if he can keep this up as the game moves forward.
You also have to take in consideration how hard is it to actually execute on the win conditions of the comp, and 100 Thieves have a very easy to play comp. You have 3 frontliners, you have Stunt playing Tahm Kench, which is going to give a lot of safety to Cody-san, and they can kind of just play this front-to-back, run-at-you style team fight, whereas Cloud9 is going to be more dependent on picks, more dependent on playing side lanes and outplays, where they could potentially get cut off by an Ornn ultimate, a Tahm Kench ulting in, and these types of things. So we'll see how 100 Thieves is able to manage it.
Well, we got a fight in the mid lane to start things off for Cloud9 here as they try to make an attempt on Meteos, who's going to be kept alive by that Gargoyle Stone Plate. Sven, however, loses about a third of his HP. With Ryoma lurking in the shadows, that's something you got to worry about. Anything other than 100 means you're under threat of death if LeBlanc's able to find the full rotation along with the Ignite. 100 Thieves and Cloud9, both sides walk away, no casualties incurred, as Licorice will be just free-firing onto this bottom side tier 2 turret. He takes that one down. Blade of the Ruin King with that Hurricane completed as well, working on the next lifesteal item here too. So often you see Kallista's heavily prioritize this lifesteal, makes her almost impossible to kill unless it's an instant burst. Blabber eats half his life in damage there from a combo from Ryoma over the wall, who instantly disappears once more.
When you are playing Kalista into a tank like this and you get to double lifesteal, even if your opponent has Thornmail, you can start harassing him under the turret, knowing that you can just heal up to full off of a minion wave. There's so much lifesteal in this build, so now going to be getting some MR, trying to make sure they cannot get 100-0'd by Ryoma, who really has been that big threat onto Licorice, so trying to get himself in a good position to be able to take anyone who matches him in that side lane.
The big thing I'm looking here for specifically from Ryoma, as I said I was keeping my eye on him, is can he find Sven? Sven's Syndra is at 268 farm, second highest in the game only to Cody's son. He's 3-0-0, hasn't been taken down yet, but importantly, there's no stopwatch, there's no Banshee's Veil, there's no Hourglass. Nothing about his inventory is defensive. It's double Spell Pin, plus Hat, plus Super Soaker. If Ryoma's able to find the angle, you can pop him there.
Yeah, he could be able to actually just 100-0 if he's in a bad spot, but he's been positioning very well, and he's been positioning very defensively, so it feels like he's pretty safe. Cloud9 also really close to some big items here. The Infinity Edge would be huge for Niski when that completes. The Yasuo will be so much stronger. Not only will he have that Blade of the Ruin King to help shred frontline, he also has the backline potential as Blabber just going in, knowing he has Kalista in his back pocket there to continue this pressure, and they're looking like they want to fight.
Oh, Vulcan found a hook there onto Cody's son, but they aren't going to go in any further. Meteos with the stone plate, popping a subjugate here now as well. Niski's able to find a massive engage there off of Blabber, starting things off with the ulti. There's your wombo, there's your combo. There go 100 Thieves. Sunday's about to be taken out now as well. Yes, Niski fell, but all of 100 Thieves are annihilated off of that amazing engage from Blabber and Niski.
And that looks like that's going to be the game here, Flowers. Cloud9 with the ace just destroyed 100 Thieves, who had been hanging in for so long. They find the perfect engage. Cloud9 will run it down mid lane and clean this game up.
Meteos will be alive in 3 seconds. However, a full tank Trundle is not normally what you think of when you're trying to think who can stop an entire enemy from a victory push. He's like, all right, guys, here's the pillar. I'm done. All right, he has to flash away. There's not a whole lot that can be done there. Cloud9 wailing on the Nexus, wailing on Meteos, looking to strike a balance between padding the stats and getting themselves the win. And there you go, 30 minutes and 8 seconds, almost exactly to Azael's prediction. Cloud9 will continue their LCS dominance and move up to 14-1.
Very impressive win here from Cloud9. And while I did say they always seem to end those games about 30 minutes, I was starting to doubt that. As the game was getting longer, I think 100 Thieves did a good job hanging on. It didn't feel like the game had completely snowballed out of control. Yes, they were very far behind in gold, but they had kind of stabilized that lead for quite some time. The Orin upgrades were coming through, but Cloud9 is so good at finding their moment, picking the right fight, and just destroyed 100 Thieves there, allowing them to just push the Nexus and get that 30-minute win.
Cloud9, man, you give them an inch and they will take a mile. But with the conclusion here of game number 2, we're going to be stepping away.